How did people familiar telling you this? How did we see such an attack happen to two of the biggest, most prominent technology firms out there?
Hi, thanks for having me. So the hackers exploited something called an emergency data request. And now an emergency data request is different from a subpoena or a search warrant. A subpoena or a search warrant has to be signed by a judge. But in cases of imminent danger, a law enforcement agency can send a request for user data to social media companies and other technology companies. In this case, what the hackers did was they compromised the legitimate email accounts of law enforcement agencies in multiple countries. And they sent emails from those compromised law enforcement accounts with forged emergency data requests. And as we're reporting here, Apple and Facebook complied with a request. And so it's kind of a shocking new technique that hackers are using in order to gain valuable information that they can use to harass people and also leverage to use in taking over accounts or enabling a hack. The other incredible thing is that...
Yeah, Will, just to prevent this from going forward, do you then have to rethink those emergency orders that don't need a signature from a judge? How do you think about more authentication techniques that we can use?
Right. So it's important to understand these emergency data requests are very important, and they're used oftentimes for legitimate law enforcement purposes. I think the problem is, these law enforcement agencies having their systems exploited to masquerade as a legitimate official. There's proposals in Congress that might provide or might require something like a cryptographic signature on these requests to truly prove that it's really coming from a police department. But, it cannot be understated how complicated and difficult this problem is for law enforcement agencies and for the companies that have to fulfill these requests.